will go a long way for me. At least I can buy shrimp. $30 now on that credit card, and you're going to go one step further. Where can I get some money back? Do you know that can also have a negative effect on your credit? But this step is crucial. That information is what kept me going. To your mindset is every single dime counts. So the plan you decide to go with, because the average credit card debt is what, 23%, 27%. I can tell you the fastest way to pay off a credit card, but that means nothing. It was 4 because I was playing games, But then again, my student loan is $50,000. Paying off debt can be a long journey. So I am targeting this card next. Another way to pay off your credit card debt fast, be careful with this, it cancels itself out. Don't do that. And you have good score. Which of these will give me the biggest relief immediately? Paying off credit card debt is not that complicated, we know. But when someone is overwhelmed by how much debt they have to pay off, getting tips on how to get started or to stay on the journey, the payoff journey, goes a long way. So based on my experience, what I did when I was paying off my credit card debt and many others' experiences, here's how to pay off your credit card debt fast. You can always just throw every extra money you have at your credit card debt, and that will do the trick. But there's also a good chance you're not going to stay with it. So if you want to pay off your debt fast, you need to have a plan. The plan has to start off with knowing what the damage is. So list out every single debt you plan on paying. For each debt, write out the balance, the interest, the minimum payment, and you're going to go one step further. You're going to figure out how much of that minimum payment is actually going towards the balance, towards the principal. Once you have that information, figure out how much money you have with nothing changing with your income, your current income as is, how much money you can actually throw towards this debt in addition to your minimum payment. This next step is going to seem unnecessary to you, but this step is crucial for down the road when the motivation is gone, when you do not see the point of sacrificing what you need to sacrifice, be it time, be it money, to pay off the debt. This is where this next point comes in handy. And this is also how it gets you to pay off the credit card faster. You are going to determine how long it will take you with your current income, that money you can put towards the debt. How long will it take you to pay off your debt? That information is what kept me going to my second job when I didn't want to show up. It's knowing if I don't show up, if this extra money doesn't come in, I am not going to be able to pay off this credit card debt for how many number of years it was going to take me. Paying off your credit card debt fast comes down to throwing as much money as you can, ASAP, as much as you can. So now that you know how much you owe, how much you can throw at it, how long it will take to pay it off, how are we going to get more money in? Are you going to get a second job like I did? I preferred having a guaranteed amount of money that I knew would be coming in every single week, every single month. And so I know that debt is going down by a guaranteed amount of money every single month. Is that what you're doing? If you can't, are we doing side hustles? Your mindset is every single dime count. You're not doing side hustles to get wealthy, to make uber amount of money. Your focus with side hustles is to bring extra money coming in. It may be as small as $30, but listen, $30 now on that credit card is taking care of a future $60, because the average credit card debt is what, 23%, 27%. In some cases, maybe you even have 30%. So that $40 is just $40 to you. But on your credit card balance, that $40 takes care of a future $80. So it is worth every single dime. Whatever you need to do, you need to babysit your mom, you're home over the weekend, you can babysit. You take a look at what you have, what you can do, how you can bring money in. What can you sell at home? Can you sell a toy the kids no longer use? They've outgrown. I made good money selling my daughter's crib. I was happy to sell that crib because we barely use it. I co-slept to tell my kids, barely use it. And that made me a good $60. That $60 goes a long way. What can you do to bring money in? To pay down your credit card debt fast, if you have more than one account you're paying down, you need to figure out the best way to pay it down. I can tell you the fastest way to pay off a credit card based on the interest, based on the balance, but that means nothing, because the best method to pay off your credit card debt fast is a method you stick with. So let's discuss the different methods of paying down debt. There are 2 popular methods. And then I'll share with you how I paid mine off the way that worked for me before I even knew there was a word for different methods. There's the snowball method, there's the avalanche method, and then Loveth's method. The snowball method focuses on the balance, regardless of the interest rate. You are going to first tackle the account with the lowest balance. You are going to maintain your minimum payment on every other account, but the account with the lowest balance, in addition to the minimum payment, you are going to throw every extra money you can towards that balance. Once that is paid off, you take the amount you were throwing at it, plus the minimum payment you were making on that card, and move on to the next account with the next lowest balance, which is now your new lowest balance. And you keep going until you pay all your accounts off. The avalanche method focuses on the interest rate. Regardless of the balance, you focus on the account with the highest interest rate. You keep your minimum payment on every other account, and on the account with the highest interest rate, in addition to the minimum payment, you throw every extra income, every extra money you get on that. Because you are paying off the higher interest rates first, you do end up saving more time and money with this plan. People prefer the snowball method because it gives you small wins right away, and that keeps increasing your motivation. So with a high interest rate, it may take me 3 years to pay off the first. All right, to be honest, to be fair, it may take me a whole year to pay off the first balance, right? But if I focus on the smaller balance, I may be able to pay the first balance off in 3 months, in 4 months. And that win motivates me to keep going. So the plan you decide to go with, it's all based on your personality and what you think you can stick with. When I was paying off my debts, it was all about what can give me the biggest relief every month. I barely had anything left after paying bills. So for me, it was just, where can I get some money back? What will make the biggest difference? And so I took a look at my debt. At the time, it was just my student loan, and I think I only had about 2 or 3 credit cards. And it was 4, because I was playing games. Long story, but it was 4 different credit cards. It was a total balance of $8,000, and I was barely making any money. So it was, all right, looking at these credit cards, looking at my student loan, which one will give me some money quick? If I can get back $450 that I usually pay on my student loan, that would go a long way. But then again, my student loan is $50,000. And I was on the 10-year plan. There's no way I can pay that $50,000. It's not going to happen. So then I focused on the credit cards. Which of these would give me the biggest relief immediately? And so I looked at my minimum payment. If I can get that $125 back, I can't remember the exact amount. It's been over a decade. If I can get back that $125, that would go a long way for me. At least I can buy shrimp. If I can get that back, that would go a long way monthly. And so that was my focus. Something else I did back then, and remember, this was before the credit card regulations. So companies weren't required to ensure that your minimum payment actually pays off your credit card balance. So what I did was I took a look at my minimum payment and figured out which one is actually making a difference. When I pay this $40, how much of it is going towards the balance? And when I realized, well, most of my payment is actually paying down the balance, well, I'm not going to worry so much on that. I'm going to take care of this account whose minimum payment is barely making a dent. I pay $40 and only $5 goes towards the balance. At the time, I didn't realize I was going by interest rate. I was just going by common sense. The monthly payment I'm making here is not making any difference. And so I am targeting this card next. So you are going to come up with a plan that makes sense to you, because if it makes sense to you, you are more likely to stick with it. And if you're going to stick with it, then you're going to pay off that card quickly. To pay off your credit card fast, especially if you have a high balance that you have to pay off, can you consider leveraging relationships to really minimize your living expenses? So for instance, if you are single, you don't have kids, can you move in with parents while you tackle that debt? There's no shame. They're your parents. Why can't you move in for like a year, have a game plan of a year? What's wrong with that? Or move in with a sibling. Or if you can't move in with parents, you can move in with family, with siblings. How about renting out a room in your house rather than having this 2-bedroom apartment, a room and office? How about your bedroom becomes your bedroom and office, and you rent out the other room safely to someone to a friend, a colleague, and maybe reduce the amount a little bit. That way it's more attractive than them renting their own place. And now your housing cost goes from $1,300 a month plus utilities to half of that, $650 or $700 a month. And now you have this huge chunk you can throw at the debt every single month. Now you are also going to be watching videos and listening to podcasts, consuming content that focuses on paying down debt. You know why? Because as time goes on, as you are on this journey, you are going to go past the primary step of what makes sense to you. Because now you're going to learn something new. You are going to learn how to bring more money in. You're going to learn how to cut back expenses. You are going to learn a better way to attack your debt. Perhaps you've been going based on the low interest rate because that's what makes sense to you. But now you have learned from this, guys. Wait a minute. I can just let this low interest rate account stay and focus on the high interest rate. That's another way to pay off your card faster, is you're going to keep consuming content that keeps refining your mindset towards the debt, refining your mindset towards getting more income in, refining your mindset towards behaviors that increase your chances of paying off the debt. Paying off debt can be a long journey. Depending on your balance, it could take more than a few months. For me, it took almost 2 years to pay mine off. Your motivation at the beginning of the journey, when things are tight, is very high. It's very easy to throw everything at the debt. But down the road, when now Loveth has $125 to buy shrimp, she's not as motivated to throw money at the debt. And so you are going to set some behaviors in place. You're going to set some things in place to help keep you motivated. Something people do is to have some sort of visual representation of their debt. And so you could build a upside down pyramid with different landmarks for your debt. Maybe every 1,000 you pay off, you pull off or shade off, just so you have a visual representation and a reminder of your ultimate goal. You could have some way to celebrate every 1,000. Like, your celebration should not be to buy something expensive. Stop it. Your celebration should be, something mini. It could be to buy yourself a new pair of earrings. Perhaps you've cut out going out to eat, and so when you go out to eat, when you pay off $1,000, you go out to eat to celebrate. That's a great one. What did I do for mine? Listen, my money was tight. And so a year in, I did not lose motivation because I still owe this money. I need to free up money. Now, something I did do, because I took a second job, and one of them was working overnight because I was working full time. So I took a second job, but I took a night shift because that was one way I could guarantee they will hire me. I knew they needed people for nights. So, okay, nights. And that way too, I can also tell them I don't do Sundays and they will still hire me. So I worked nights over the weekend. And before I would go in, I would buy myself a McDonald's cup of coffee for $1. I know it was only $1, but you see, the way my mind was at the time, every single dime was going towards this debt. And it didn't make sense for me to buy coffee when I had coffee at home. I had the coffee maker at home. I would leave my house and go buy coffee. But I told myself, this is how I'm rewarding myself for working a second job. I'm buying $1 coffee. That dollar would not kill anything. It sounds like foolishness, but when your mindset is every single dollar goes in, would it be a big deal now? No, I'm older. I've learned more. My mindset has changed a bit. $1 is not an issue. But then that was my way of rewarding myself. So I didn't need to celebrate every landmark. My satisfaction came from, I've paid off this credit card. I've paid off that credit card. But that $1 every night that would go in to work overnight, that was good enough for me. So come up with some sort of visual or some sort of behavior that will keep your motivation going. Another way to pay off your credit card debt fast is to consolidate your debt if you can. It's a lot faster to pay off one account when you have all your resources going at it than having minimum payments go to all these different accounts and then your extra payment one account after the other. If you have it all in one and you can hammer at it every single month, you can pay it off a lot faster. Now, be careful with this. Do not consolidate your debt if you're going to get a personal loan that has a higher interest rate. If you're going to get another credit card that has a higher interest rate, it cancels itself out. Don't do that. Keep your debt where they are. But if you have a guaranteed amount of income that you know can pay off this debt in X amount of months, and you have good credit score, i.e. your debt has not negatively affected your credit score, then it doesn't hurt to go ahead and put all that debt into one account with zero interest, but you have to pay it off while it's still at zero interest. If you wait for that interest to kick in, it's going to be, chances are it's a lot higher than your current debt, and that makes no sense. Do not do it if you cannot get that debt paid off within that window of time. It doesn't make sense to work at paying off your credit card debt while you're still using it. I hope it goes without saying, you should not be using your credit card and adding on to the balance when you're coming up with a plan to pay off the balance you previously owe. You are shooting yourself in the foot because you're adding on to the balance. What? That goes without saying. If you want to pay your credit card debt fast, you want to eliminate anything that would make you use the credit card. So therefore, you should have some money saved. Some people say 1,000, some people say 2,000. Your need, your expenses, and all that differ based on your lifestyle. If you have kids, you know there's a good chance you'll be paying some out-of-pocket deductible because you have a higher chance of having to go to acute care because it's flu season and you have 3, and 3 times 30 or 3 times whatever it is. I think the minimum you should have saved before you even start tackling debt, 1 month's paycheck. 1 month's living expenses you should have. And that's not even my personal belief on the minimum you should have to keep you from using the same credit cards you're paying off. It makes no sense to pay down $3,000 on your credit card only for you to reuse it. And now it's like losing weight and getting it back. And trust me, I can tell you it's painful. So save up some money, 5,000, 3,000, to have some buffer to keep you from reusing the credit card. If you have nothing to lose, i.e. your credit is in shambles and your balance is so high you don't see any way out, something some people do, and listen, I only advise to do this if you have nothing to lose because it can have an adverse effect on your credit report and your credit score, is to call the credit card company to work out a repayment plan. Don't do this because you're like, it's so hard and I can't do it and you're being lazy about it, because like I said, it can have a negative effect on your credit report. But a lot of credit card companies will have some sort of repayment plan. And if that means closing the account so that you can pay it off, or closing the account, reducing the interest rate on the balance so you can pay it off faster, or maybe forgiving some of the balance, or taking off maybe the interest that has grown on the account so you can pay it up faster. They have different options. You can do that. But like I said, do your research before you do that, because I've heard people advise this so many times and it's like, do you know that can also have a negative effect on your credit? But once again, I'm just a regular person on YouTube. What do I know? Do your research and decide if you need to proceed. All right. I have done several videos on how I save money. Those tips help you in paying off your card faster. The only difference is rather than saving it, you're putting it towards the card. I've also done videos on how I cut back expenses. So watch those videos to get additional tips on how to pay your credit card a lot faster. I hope this helps you out, and I wish you all the best. I really wish you all the best in paying off this credit card debt, because I know the feeling when you feel stuck and it's over your head. And I know the feeling now that interest rate has gone up and that rate is in the 20s and the 30s. It is not a fun feeling. So I truly wish you all the best. All right. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.